Welcome to the Suzanne and Sarah Real Estate Investing Podcast. We're Suzanne and Sarah, your favorite duo here to talk about all things real estate, investing, and living life you love by design. Ready to turn those big dreams into big moves? Let's get started because time is money, honey.
Hi, everyone. We're back with another episode of the Real Estate Investing Podcast with Suzanne and Sarah.
Yeah, we're already in the beginning of February here in Central Oregon and back in business. Suzanne and I got a couple clients under contract this past week. Funny enough, both primary home buyers. Yeah, which is so fun.
I know. See, we don't just
action.
help investors. We help you live and bend too.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
The snow came down and everyone was ready to buy houses.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a good week. We're really excited and we just love when our buyers are ready to take action. And so I think that's the main thing we want to talk about this week is like how we prepare our buyers to take swift action and make decisions quickly so that we can get the good deals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So that's feedback we've had in the past. It's feedback that we've had this week. We're quick and help people get under contract quickly when they are ready and they have a vision and they're prepared. I misspoke though, Suzanne. I was just thinking about it. One of the people we got under contract is actually a second home buyer.
Oh, you're right. But their long-term vision is that they will live
Mm-hmm.
in this house.
In this house, yeah.
Yeah.
So both of these homes are totally unique. One has been on the market for over 200 days?
Yeah.
And
I think this is such a great example of don't assume things. It's so easy when you're just far away and you're sitting on your phone and you're scrolling and saying, oh, there must be something wrong with this house because it's sat on the market for 200 days. We're here to tell you, like, usually that's not the case. It's just where a property fell out of favor with a typical buyer because everyone assumed there was something wrong with it. And like when this house sold last year to a flipper, there was something wrong with it. And that's why a flipper bought it, because they know how to deal with these things. And it had a foundation issue that they fixed for $56,000. And they were willing to take on that quote unquote risk because they knew it wasn't that big of a deal. And it's just money can fix everything. Sarah?
So far, that's been my experience. Yeah, let's find something you can.
So anyways, we got our buyers a freaking screaming deal on this place. And even the current price, like the current listing price on this house, is almost $100,000 less than any riverfront property that's stick built has sold on the Deschutes River in the last 6 months. So they're already walking into equity. This place is completely redone, beautiful, all the things that people want these days, right? Like the gold fixtures and the stone countertops and tons of bar seating. There's basically 2 little bar areas. There's a wine fridge. There's nice appliances. It's open. There's windows galore. And you look out over the Deschutes River and it's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Totally done.
And I just want to put a little plug in there for flippers because
they get a bad rap.
Right, they get a bad rap. And I think that in and of itself could have been potentially something, one reason why this sat so long.
Sure. Because someone saw, oh, these guys got it for $400 and now they want $800.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because they put a bunch of money into it. Mm-hmm. And this isn't just a home flipper either. This is a local custom home builder who renovated this home. So it's sometimes flippers can get a bad rap sometimes for a reason, like they are fast and cheap and just trying to make money. Mm-hmm. And that is not the case. When I walked into this house, I was like, oh, someone spent money and time here and knew what they were doing.
Sure. And that's also where it's helpful to have the people whose eyes that are looking at it have some experience with construction and flipping homes themselves, because we can call out whether this is a lipstick flip or whether this is truly a quality job, and we'll call it out as a result. So that was one of them. And I guess I also want to say 200 days on market, priced at $800K. Our buyers wanted us to come in at 50,000 under. So we came in at 750 and we landed much closer to asking price. And our buyers are okay with that for a few reasons. One, because we were able to show them, yes, the nearest comp to this was what, 844?
877.
877. So again, let's look for like kind homes, and the nearest one that sold is 100K over what they're getting it for. What else?
And what happens oftentimes with either flips or new construction is the builder or remodeler will put in your dishwasher and your range, but they don't put in the fridge because the fridge is a pretty personal choice and they're expensive, and they don't usually put in a washer dryer. Well, a custom home builder is going to be able to get a way better deal on both of those things than you or I or our clients. So we built that into the offer as a way to get the seller closer to their asking price, yet still get something of high value to our buyers. So it was a win for everybody, and that's what got the deal done.
Totally, absolutely. Yeah, this deal was going south. Like we submitted an offer. There wasn't even a counter offer presented back to us. The seller's agent was basically just, sorry, this isn't going to work at anything less than asking. And Suzanne, in all her infinite wisdom, was like, I wonder if this is one of those deals where we can include appliances and make that everybody feel better for it. And it worked. And our buyers flew up from California and saw it in person, and they had other homes that they were slotted to see, but they were sold when they saw it.
Yeah. We canceled all those showings.
Yeah. And we submitted their offer when it was sight unseen and from one of our video tours. And this is something that happens often.
For sure.
So yeah. And then our other house is the cutest set of home buyers ever. And we've looked at so many homes for them, and they're some of the easiest people that I've ever been able to shop with. Like, their prerequisites for a new home were they wanted 2 toilets and a dishwasher. That's all that really mattered to them. And I think they're just this beautifully modest people, but can afford a nice home. And we've really landed them in something that I think that they deserve in terms of quality and the stage of life that they're at. And I think is not cookie cutter. It really very much fits their personality, and it's on the way to Mount Bachelor. And yeah, they're big skiers and runners, and they have got a dog. And what I've found time and time again is location just is everything. Sure. And if you're comparing a home in Northeast Bend maybe with a large fenced yard, but somewhat comparable to a home with a smaller yard, but adventure is right outside your doorstep, that is actually worth more than some other things. So
sounds like something you can relate to.
I can totally relate
Sarah?
to that. Yeah. So I've been living in my own world of bliss with our new home that's getting renovated off of the Deschutes River. Also got to walk my kiddo home from school yesterday, less than a 0.25 mile hike home in the snow and crossing the river and
on a sled. Like, when do you get to walk your kid home on a sled?
Yeah.
That's why we live here.
Yeah. Just seeing geese and ducks on the way home and like little prints in the snow, and just so dreamy. Highly encourage, if you are looking at the cost benefit of location over like amenities or whatever, or features in a home, that location always wins.
Mm-hmm. But I think we should talk about something that our buyers often experience and we experience ourselves, which is stress about buying a new place. And money is like a thing, right? Like, it's not infinite as much as we wish it was. We know we're really good at making money and investing money, but will you just talk about your experience of carrying 2 mortgages right now?
Oh yeah, I have 5 mortgages.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
but yes, primary mortgages. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely had my own moment this week of, oh my gosh, I have to get everything on spreadsheets right in front of me because I have a very finite amount of money in my bank account that I think will only last me about a month left. And just having to really like hammer it all down right in front of me and figure out what I can put on credit cards now, what has to come out of my bank accounts. And all this is okay, right? But the idea is that it's really just about having your eyes wide open, knowing what all of your expenses are, knowing how to prioritize them. In many cases, just communication with the people around you that you owe money to, and setting these scenarios up, and knowing that as fast as money goes away, it comes back. But where I was able to make myself feel better is, okay, in the lending process, I'm just going to back up a little bit. Obviously, in the lending process, people aren't lending homes to people who don't have enough money to float them, right? Mm-hmm. Part of the lending process is making sure that you have enough reserves. And in this case, for this last mortgage, they wanted me to have 6 months of reserves. So reserves are making sure you have enough for your mortgage and taxes and insurance and all of that for up to 6 months, in addition to what you had to put down at closing. And That doesn't all tend to be liquid in your regular accounts. It is out there in various ways. And I just decided to take the stress out of my life and transfer money from my Roth IRA that I had from back at a time where I could contribute to that. And that's going to float me for the next month and a half until these transactions that we have under contract now start cashing back into my bank account until the season picks back up again. So yes, it was very stressful for about a day, but that's only happens when you don't have like a real grasp on what you've got going on in your life. So as much as I like to put my head in a hole and pretend that like everything's okay, sometimes shit hits the fan and it's not. And this has happened to me a couple times this year. It's happened both times. It's happened right after I bought a house. And it all comes back, but it just takes planning, organization, and just action, as always. Just getting it done, taking care of yourself.
And that's the thing too, that a wise person in my life, my oldest sister, told me a few years ago when I was stressing about my money being gone. She was like, Suzanne, the money is not gone. It's just reinvested into a different asset that is less liquid. So it's not gone, right? Sarah bought a very valuable property that she's going to make even more valuable with the renovation she's doing. But right now, cash is tight. And so I think what you came up with, your solution of using money in a Roth that you can take money out and put the money back in, both your contributions and your profit for 6 months with no penalty is genius. And it's just, you're just moving money around until things like the cash flow gets a little better. So awesome. Glad to hear it. And we just want you to know we are real people too. We know the stress that comes along with buying properties and how it can feel like scary and financially tight for a while, but the short-term pain is worth the long-term gain for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have not been able to buy this much happiness in my life in a very long time. And it really is rooted in the fact that like we've bought ourselves a whole new lifestyle with the location of the home that we're going to move into.
Yeah, sledding home from school. Those kids are going to remember that for their whole life.
It should be good.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Yeah. All right. So last week was all about relationships, right? And I think we're going to continue that conversation this week because it is such an important part of what we do. The majority of our business is based on relationships. And so trusted partners are really important for getting a deal done quickly and seamlessly and just making the client experience super smooth. But there's also the flip side of that. So, well, do we want to talk about the trusted partners first?
Let's start with the good. Yeah. Okay. So we're circling back to one of our current transactions. And so this home, that was the flip. We were in the process of scheduling the home inspection for this with one of our trusted home inspection partners. And he was like, oh, full disclosure, I inspected this home last September and the seller doesn't like me very much. And I was like, oh, great. Here we go. Like deal is dead in the water. Like I'm just reading through the lines here, assuming the worst, like it's like a terrible home inspection, but that wasn't the case.
Not at all. And it was just really helpful for us that he came to us, told us this, and we were able to take care of any issues proactively just because of the relationship that we had with him, like that we can text him and he trusts us enough to say, hey, I've been here before and
here's what I found. And we can. And so what we've done with that is we've taken that information, we've relayed it directly to the seller's agent and given them this like vital piece of information to be able to take to the seller and take care of any previously known issues that they might not have known about proactively. So it's not coming back in the inspection report this time around. It's already taken care of. It's not going to scare our buyers off. And repairs are done ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is always the best way to approach repairs if you're a seller. And just how grateful and amenable the agent on the other side was for that communication. So it's just this whole chain, right? Like we're this one big happy family of everybody who has mutual goals, which is to get these homes bought and sold for our clients.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And to provide homes that are, inspected and well maintained and, where everybody feels confident with what they're getting. So that was an awesome experience with a trusted partner. So let's talk about the When someone's not a partner.
Right. When someone is not a partner and doesn't have other people's best interest in mind. So we have some new clients that we have and that we now have under contract came to us from another trusted industry partner, a property management partner that we have, and introduced them to us. They were staying in a midterm rental. This midterm rental manager is very hands-on, has a lot of direct communication with his tenants, and he found out from them that they were looking for a home and he referred them to us. And referrals, when you're not a real estate agent, is really just like an industry partner introduction, right? Like nobody is expecting kickbacks, or there's no kickbacks in that specific instance. And Suzanne had been talking to these clients for a couple of weeks over text. And at one point they're like, hey, full disclosure, we have a real estate agent in Portland where we're from, and he's trying to set up a search for us out here. And we're a little confused. Like, we don't really think that's a good idea. Like, what's your opinion on that? Okay, let's just meet and talk about it. And so I had, what would be a pretty standard intake meeting with these folks. And Suzanne had talked to the real estate agent on the phone and had gotten him to agree to a non-exclusive agency agreement. So if you don't know, now when we're working with buyers, we have to have agency agreements, which are either exclusive or non-exclusive. And if it's exclusive, that means that the buyer is committing to only working with us, with you, whomever they've signed that agreement with. If it's non-exclusive, you can indicate on this contract, hey, I'm working with you for these types of deals or in this location. And on the other, so they can have multiple agents at a time for different locations or different types of purchases. Okay. So had this intake meeting with these folks. I shared very directly with them, hey, I think that's wonderful that you have someone that is your friend and that you can trust in Portland. I was like, he's in a different market. So just so you know, this isn't the way this works. Like, you are going to have to either choose him to represent you in a home purchase here, or you get to choose us. It's one or the other, not both. We will not work with him on your home purchase. It just doesn't work like that. I said, if I were in your position and for some reason you chose to work with us, I would probably be checking in with him at important key points across the transaction if you really trust his opinion. For example, like when we're writing offers, just give him our offer strategy, see if he has any feedback. Or like when it comes to the home inspection, check in with him about what our feedback was. Like if for some reason you want a gut check, that's how I would have operated. So had this great meeting with them, learned all about their vision, got to know them a little bit, and just left them with their own decision. Hey, cool. Not more than 60 minutes after this meeting, Suzanne and I get a referral agreement in our inboxes from their agent for 25%. And I'm like, this is peculiar.
He was not the procuring source of these clients.
Yeah.
He just knew them.
Yes.
He was a friend of theirs.
Yeah.
Who happens to be a realtor.
So I know this is a long-winded story, but this is what you guys get from me. There was a red flag in my mind thinking, never would I ever try and help somebody buy in a market that I'm not familiar with. Sure, I would help people sell homes all day long, all over Oregon, because being a listing agent and being a selling agent are two completely different things. As a buyer's agent, you have to have like in-depth knowledge of that particular area as far as just like locations, price points. It really helps to have trust and camaraderie amongst other local agents and be respected when it comes to multiple offer situations, which we had been in multiple times with this person. So from the get-go, I'm thinking to myself, this guy doesn't have their best interest in mind. All he's thinking about is getting paid, really. Like, he just wants to make sure that he's getting his cut for knowing them. And never would I ever in my life ask another agent for a referral fee for someone that I just know because I'm an agent. Right. So really the PSA here is don't do that. And from the get-go, I was like, no, Suzanne, we're not doing this. I need to think this through. I don't want to ruin this relationship. I don't want to put anybody off, but this does not feel okay to me. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not about money. It really is the best interest of the clients and making sure that they have the best representation possible. And Suzanne is actually usually on the other end of the spectrum in these conversations. It's usually me who's, oh, there's enough to go around. And Suzanne was like, no, Sarah, like this could be good. We could be his referral partners. I'm like, but what I learned through more communication with this agent, I let him know what I thought about him asking for our 25% referral fee and how we were not actually introduced to these clients from them. And I'm sorry that he felt that way, and that we would generously offer him a 15% referral fee out of the loving kindness of our hearts. And he it backfired pretty quick. He was basically like, this was not an option, basically. I told the client it's either the option is use me or use this other agent that I know in town as a referral agent. And again, that's just a whole nother red flag again, because you meet people, right? And again, this is a relationship business. And I truly felt that I had a connection with these people, and I still do. And it's all just this beautiful thing that's come to fruition as far as relationships go. And I stood my ground, and I had a somewhat difficult conversation with them. With the buyers, like I never would I ever. This is something that in all cases buyers are protected from. Like buyers are not supposed to be exposed to this, right?
This is the sausage making that usually they don't see.
Yeah, like they're not supposed to know behind the scenes that there's like this exchange happening, and because it doesn't really affect anyone. No. And so again, never would I ever tell even a client that there's a referral fee involved, right? Like they don't need to know that I was going to pay out somebody else. But because of his communication and because of his strong feelings that I disagreed with, and him threatening to
undermine your relationship,
foil the whole situation, we were definitely strong-armed and backed into a wall. And I don't know, just having full transparency, having a real open heart communication conversation with these people saved the day, really. And the feedback we got from them was like the amount of work he did from them was equivalent to a 6-pack or a 0% referral fee. And so I gave the agent one more opportunity to accept our 15% referral fee offer. And he doesn't like me. And he said that he would take nothing. So I persevered. We persevered.
We'll send him a 6-pack. For sure.
Anyways, sorry, long-winded story, but I felt pretty strongly about that whole situation, and it affected me for multiple reasons. But the PSA here is for other agents is that's not the way this works.
Don't be greedy.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't be greedy.
It's a relationship business, and referrals happen when you introduce the client and bring that client into people's lives, not just because you know them.
That's why it's called a referral agreement, not an I know you agreement. So on that theme of working with your friends that are realtors, it's great to have friends that are realtors. It's also really important if you're an investor, you want a realtor that actually knows investing and that knows how to do a lot of the complex things that come along with investment real estate that are just totally different from your standard residential real estate. So we had this interesting thing happen where we have a person in our Central Oregon Investor Network community who comes to our events, who has asked us for insight on properties that we send out in our weekly email, and come to find out, he told us that he's working with his friend who's a realtor. Okay, bummer for us because we've been cultivating this relationship. We've obviously provided a lot of value, and he's still coming to us for our expertise. So still asking questions about the properties that we are finding. And in my mind, taking them to his friend realtor, who is then going to make the money on all the work we've done. Okay, so it goes like, fine.
You just let it go. That's typically what we do. That's fine.
So then this week he reached out to us and was like, hey ladies, I've been talking to a seller about an on-market deal that has seller financing, but my agent doesn't know anything about seller financing. And this is a problem and it's taking too long and I'm worried I'm going to lose out on this deal. And I signed an agreement with this agent. What do I do? Because I know you ladies know how to do this. So it was fabulous and very validating that he came to us and asked for our expertise in the context of, I know you guys know what you're doing and can you help me? So basically we looked at his agreement. We told him what his options are. He can use us. But so essentially what was happening is it was just taking too long. This other agent who didn't know about seller financing, which can be very tricky, mind you, when you're navigating and like negotiating these terms, because usually the bank figures this stuff out. And like when you're an agent with a seller finance deal, you have to figure out this stuff and help advise your client on like how to structure these deals. So ultimately it's still up in the air. Not sure what's happening here. The PSA here for clients is like, use someone who knows their stuff for investment real estate. And if you want to use your friends, like maybe, what do you want to say?
Yeah, here's the deal. We always say your realtor should be someone that you know and trust. They don't have to be your friend, though.
Mm-mm.
We might become your friends,
Yeah.
but we should probably just be somebody you know and trust first. And I think our experience and like professionalism is paramount to the being a friend thing, especially in this particular case. And the reason why this turned out to be an issue in this case is because of these silly buyer rep agreements. They're great in so many ways, but they've really killed the deal for us different clients recently. And what we're learning and what you should know if you're listening as a buyer of real estate out there is you're going to be required to sign a buyer's representation agreement. But if you want to keep your options open for working with different people, do not sign an exclusive buyer's representation agreement. Sign a non-exclusive. And that was the recommendation we made to him as well. We were like, hey, listen, you can keep him as a friend, like you can keep him as a realtor, but you're going to need to get him to change your agreement from exclusive to non-exclusive if you want to work with us. And until that point, we can't even really advise you on this. And again, like now the ball's in his court. He has to take the action. And it's sad because he's really questioning the whole thing and it's like muddying the waters in their relationship. And I'm sure he knows he's a smart guy. Like he knows that it would be within his best interest to actually use us. But until then, we're cutting him off.
Sorry, not everyone gets access to our smart little brains here.
Yeah.
You'll get our monthly newsletter, but you're not going to get the secret sauce that we send out every week.
It's-
That's for our clients.
Yeah, it's mutual. It's trust-based.
Yeah.
And if you get our information, we are in the position where we assume that it's a mutual relationship and that you're going to want to use us to represent you to buy and sell homes in the area. And we're more than happy to share all of our knowledge and time and expertise if that's the case. But it goes both ways.
It's got to be reciprocal.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
It's all about who you know, because who you know helps you get the deal done fast, and then you can start making money and achieving your goals.
That's right. And this guy sent us this email reaching out in distress, and we responded really quickly. As usual, he's, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I really appreciate your guidance on this. Here's one more question that again, same thing, just fielded it back to him. And so we're there. We are there to take action. This is our jobs. We have systems set up to do this, and we do this full time. And so to wrap up here, we've got these clients in town who are overwhelmed, right? They're buying a new home. They're like, oh my gosh, this happened so fast. Like it's pending already. How did you do that? We've got all these things in our inboxes that we need to do. We feel like you're moving faster than we are. Like we don't know if we're doing everything we're supposed to do. We don't feel caught up. And
we move fast so you don't have to.
Yeah, like that's the moral of the story. Like we are the filters. We are the accountability partners.
We're the timeline masters, and we will make sure you do not miss a step at all in your transaction. So you can just count on us to be there guiding you throughout the entire process to take the stress and worry off of you so that you can just focus on sending your money and ordering your furniture and getting your insurance and all the other things. There's enough to do with getting lender docs and all that stuff. The transaction is generally our area of facilitation to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah. Our first job is to be the negotiators and get you the best deal possible. And then after that, we're the taskmasters. And believe me, you will know if there's something you're supposed to be doing that you are not doing. So just rest assured that you're in good hands and that all is going smooth. Like no news is good news, and we'll keep the information coming as necessary.
Yeah. Cool. That's it for this week on the Real Estate Investing Podcast with Suzanne and Sarah. Please leave us a review and ask us questions and let us know what you want to see more and less of. We love your feedback and we appreciate you listening. Have a great one.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Suzanne and Sarah Real Estate Investing Podcast. If you enjoy this episode, then subscribe and leave us a review because your feedback helps us reach people like you who are ready to elevate their lives. Don't forget to share this episode with someone who's passionate about real estate or personal growth. And for more tips, resources, and updates, follow us on Insta or visit us at CentralOregonInvestorNetwork.com. And remember, you have the power to design the life you want, one real estate investment at a time. See you next week.